Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Embassy of India in Dublin and Ambassador of India to Ireland, His Excellency Yes Mishra, I welcome everyone for today's event, hybrid meetup on India-Ireland Renewable Energy Sector. I am Murugaraj, First Secretary and Deputy Head of Mission at this embassy. Let me brief about the flow of event today. So first, His Excellency Ambassador will give introductory remarks on the topic, followed by the participating companies. You can give your presentation for 5 minutes. In that, you are requested to cover about your company, a brief about your company, and second, your expectation from the other side, and third, what you can offer to the other side. And this is followed by ESB, Electricity Supply Board of Ireland, and Tech Ireland. So both of them, they will give their views and comments about this event and how to take it further. Then finally, Ambassador will give the concluding remarks, and this is followed by a networking lunch. So this is the flow of the event today, and thank you so much for all of you for joining, and people who are joined by online. We welcome everyone on board. So may I now request His Excellency Ambassador to give his introductory remarks.
Thank you. Namaskar. A very warm welcome to friends to the Indian Embassy, and also my very warm greetings to friends who are connecting with this program online. Namaskar. At the outset, I must thank my very dynamic colleague, my deputy head, Murugaraj, for taking the initiative to organize this. For us, this topic is very important, exceptionally important for India, because as you know, India is the most populous country in the world, but at the same time, India is very densely populated. It's a small land mass and very huge pressure on the land. So the climate change issues and vulnerability to climate change is very acute for us. And that is why we are not just looking at the commitments made by India at international level, but we have internalized the sensitivity of this issue. And therefore, under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, India is taking proactive measures. And we have made sustainability and renewable energy and more energy efficient use of energy as part of a national mission. So this is an important distinction, because we are not just driven by our commitments in COP. It's an internal drive. Second, under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, renewable energy has become one of the highest priority areas. And I'm very happy to share that the renewable energy installed capacity in India has crossed about 172 gigawatts. About 100 gigawatts were added in the past 9 years.
Yes.
And India has become the fourth largest in terms of the installed capacity of renewable energy. Among the renewable energy, India is pursuing a mix, the hydro and also solar and wind and biofuel, biomass, nuclear. So we are pursuing all, like, as diverse set of energy options that we can explore. We are pursuing. But in realistic terms, we see the highest growth potential in solar and wind. The solar installed capacity has already crossed about 71 gigawatt, and wind energy has crossed about 43 gigawatt installed capacity. In both solar and wind, India is now the fourth largest installed capacity. But and also our target is based on the success we have already achieved, and also the projects in pipeline. We are very confident of meeting our goal of about 440 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. So we know it's ambitious, but we are very confident that we can achieve. And also domestically, I can share with friends that we are working on multiple tracks. One is the expansion, which shows on the ground. but more importantly, it's like a holistic approach and also innovation-led approach. So that includes a very creative use of some unique assets that India has. Our greatest asset is our human asset, human capital, and the large market, large growth potential. So one example I can give you is how we have used energy efficiency as a game changer. For example, using the aggregation of demand, aggregation of demand, and also combining resources from different sectors. Prime Minister Modi took a very interesting, small but very profound initiative. Is initiative in terms of replacing normal incandescent lamps with LEDs. And because of like very systematic, methodical of whole of the nation approach, and combining of multiple PSUs and creating a new entity, and also like very thoughtful approach, uh, uh, India has replaced about 367 million bulbs with LEDs. And the change of game occurred because of this consolidation. Because of that aggregated demand, the cost of LEDs came down to about 10%. It's now in India about $1 per bulb. And they see the impact of it, that because of the change from normal lamps, normal bulbs to LEDs, India is saving about 40 megawatt of energy. It's a very, very simple, and also a huge amount of energy reduction, and also quite significant, about 40 million tons of carbon dioxide. So its impact has been very drastic. Similarly, on the solar energy front, because of like having a whole of the nation approach and taking a broad perspective, organic approach to development of India in the energy sector, the cost of solar energy has been brought down by 62%. So that really like transforms how we look at solar energy. Earlier, solar energy required very high viability gap funding. Now it is cheaper than fuel, like oil. It's cheaper than even hydro. So this opens unprecedented opportunities. Similarly, in wind and solar, our approach is to maximize domestic production. Because if you are able to leverage the low-cost manufacturing professional skill manpower that we have, if we leverage that, then our production cost comes down. So maximizing domestic production of solar panels and all necessary ingredients. Similarly, wind power, we are already one of the major manufacturers of turbines, but we are looking domestic manufacturing in a very, very holistic, long-term, sustainable manner. So like domestic manufacturing is one very, very important thrust area for India. Second is R&D. So again, the expansion of our research and development to universities. India has about 1,000 universities now. About 400 universities were created during Prime Minister Modi's time, past 9 years. We are producing about 44 billion university graduates annually. And a big shift is the like massive thrust on energy, then university, academia, and industry connect. So startup and innovation and research driven by young researchers, scholars in universities and also in the industry, we're working with through much greater synergy. This is a big change I have seen. Like recently, 54 years, I have not seen that kind of holistic approach to research. Research can't be done in isolation unless it's connected with the reality of the world, of the real market. So this is a big change. And the third change is the nurturing of startup and innovation and entrepreneurship as a culture in India. The government has been giving all kinds of incentives for young scientists, researchers, scholars, entrepreneurs to go into startups and innovation, be entrepreneurs rather than job seekers. And again, this has given us tremendous optimism, because during the past 9 years, we have seen how the number of startups has increased from a few thousand to now 100,000. And also number of unicorns from almost non-existent, we have about 100 to 14 or 118, more than 100 unicorns. So the startup and innovation segment is also giving us tremendous optimism that we can make a difference. And on the international front, because we know that the kind of position we occupy in terms of our strategic location, in terms of our large market, and also large pool of young scientists and skilled manpower. So India has opportunity to make a positive change in the world. Whatever we do, not only for our own benefit, but also we are conscious that we can make a bigger difference. And that is why India has taken many initiatives on the international relations front as well. We, together with the French president, launched International Solar Alliance. So that there is a broader holistic perspective on what is happening in the world in solar energy, and also sharing of technical skills and experiences, infrastructure. How do we, as a collective effort, maximize the benefit of solar energy to the countries, particularly which are not so blessed with their own domestic capacity. Second is we have during in October last year, together with the UN Secretary General, India launched again a very significant initiative, LIFE, Mission LIFE. LIFE means a lifestyle for environment. So that counts on changing the environmental and sustainability debate from the high capitals to the grassroots level individuals. It's making it a people-driven. In terms of basic consciousness about how each one can make a difference, but by tweaking habits. So this is again a global initiative which we are working together with friends. Third is a very recent during G20 summit, India launched together with some countries International Biofuel Alliance. Again, we see this could be a very profound change in terms of like our energy perspective. India's target is to have 20% ethanol blending in oil. And this we see as beneficial to India from many points, because India is a huge importer of fossil fuel, is a huge drain on our foreign exchange. So if you are able to reduce the import need of petroleum products, then it is very beneficial. And also India has a very large population of cattle, is one of the largest agrarian economies. So we see we can use this strategy, International Biofuel Alliance, and promotion of ethanol as an alternative source for very significant boost in the farmers' income, and making the Indian agriculture, also in our cattle population. We have probably the world's largest, not only the human population, but the cattle population is probably the largest. So we have a lot of opportunity of tapping biomass and biofuel for energy. Also, another area where I see India can play a very significant role is offshore wind. So far, we are focused on onshore wind. So offshore wind, like Ireland, India has a very long coastline. We have 7,500 kilometers of coastline. So we see there's a lot of untapped potential on offshore wind. And another area is green hydrogen. We see that again, because of combination of factors, we see ourselves at a very significant position to make a difference on the green hydrogen. Because the cost of solar energy and wind energy has been brought down to very affordable rates. India is now the world's cheapest producer of solar energy. Is less than 3 cents, around 3 cents per unit. So we see that the low cost of renewable energy can feed a massive transformation on the green hydrogen front. So we can play a very significant role leveraging our low cost of energy, solar and wind energy, huge domestic market and aggregation of our internal market, and the research and innovation capacity. So if we leverage these three, we can be a game-changing player in the green hydrogen. So I'm very happy that from Ireland, friends have taken initiative to come forward and share wisdom, your thoughts. As India's ambassador with a very dynamic colleague like Raj, I'm very happy, very excited to have this discussion. And I sincerely believe that we should be guided by technical experts. So we want to listen to friends like you, and I would welcome your very practical, constructive thoughts on how do we proceed. What can be done? My basic message is that we have to be practical, we have to be conscious of the sustainability of whatever initiatives we take, and we should not ignore the economics of it. So this has to be kept in mind. It has to be mutually beneficial. Then only it's worth pursuing. It has to build on the complementarities between what we have in Ireland and what we have in India and dovetail them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, thanks for sharing your views and thoughts. So that it has set the stage for a fruitful discussion now. As Ambassador said, we are looking forward to hear from the companies and stakeholders today. So let's start from Epicenter. Ms. Christina Coffey. Yes.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, that is really incredible what India has achieved so far, and what your goals are set to be. It's just very inspiring. From the Epicenter perspective, one of the things that really jumps to mind, just to give you an idea of what Epicenter does, right? We build IoT infrastructure for the sustainable energy transition. So we're looking mainly at energy management and demand response products. We see that huge increase in renewables coming on the grid. Now, this adds a lot of intermittence and a lot of challenges to grid operators. At the same time, the demand for energy is continuously growing as well. So we need that balance between the supply and demand for energy. And in order to have that, we need to build an IoT infrastructure that facilitates the communication between the demand and the supply. And also, we need something that is rugged, secure, reliable, accurate, and so on, but also easy to maintain. If you're looking out there in terms of the technology that we have and that the big players have built over the years, they set the standard of accuracy and reliability and ruggedness and so on. However, all of those systems require specialized people in order to design the architecture and also to implement it. So for us, that's what we focus on, holding those big high standards and sometimes even exceeding them, but at the same time making it easy to deploy solutions. So to give you an example, we've recently deployed 1,000 systems, demand response systems, to Taiwan. And these were installed by local electricians that have had no training from us. We don't speak Mandarin, they don't speak English. And they installed them and commissioned them over a period of 5 weeks in the whole of Taiwan island. So this is the level that we need to play at in order to integrate these renewables fast on the grid and provide energy services fast. So what we provide is hardware, which could be demand response controllers, either static or dynamic. Demand response, facilitating static or dynamic demand response, energy monitoring systems, communication interfaces as well, and environmental sensors. So all of these speak to a central gateway, and then that gateway sends information to third-party platforms. So usually those third-party platforms would be the platforms of energy services providers out there that are looking to decrease carbon and improve energy efficiency and so on. And we usually sell through ESCOs and through third-party partners, such as aggregators. It's public knowledge that the biggest aggregator in the world, NLX, has standardized on our technology. System integrators and so on, facilitating them to deploy and install energy monitoring services fast, and at the same time providing their energy services faster as well at larger scales.
Now, shall we request the ONIC group, Mr. Divyesh Sovalia, joining online. And before that, I just introduce ICC team from UK, based in UK. Mr. Raghav Singhal, Mr. Akhil Gupta, and Mr. Keval Rawal who have joined us now. Welcome. Yes. Let's proceed with Mr. Divyesh Sovalia, ONIC. Please go. It's muted. He's speaking, it's muted. Yeah, he is speaking, but let's start from scratch.
Hello. Yes. This is Hardik from Onyx, and I am Chief Operating Officer from Onyx Group. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to present here, and I thank you so much for giving a glimpse of these renewable energy opportunities in India and abroad. Onyx is established in Onyx 2007, so now having 16 plus years of experience in renewable energy sector in transmission and distribution of power. We have a total portfolio of 500 plus megawatt projects executed till date in terms of solar and wind. And currently we have around 1.5 gigawatt projects ready on hand to be developed in India. So we are looking for some international partners for development of these projects. Currently, all the approvals and land are required. Just boost up the project. Some international funding are the ask from our side. We are now entering green hydrogen production also in the state of Gujarat. We have demanded the land. We have the project reports and everything ready and submitted to government of Gujarat. Just yesterday, the renewable energy policy from Gujarat government has been declared. So we have a presence in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, and Chennai. And we are now expanding our international business to US also. We are manufacturer of solar modules having a capacity of 200 megawatt per annum and now expanding to 1200 megawatt near Ahmedabad. So we are entering to produce HJT modules also within the end of next year, that means 2024. So our core business is the development of projects in terms of solar, wind and hybrid. And we are into both the sectors. We sell the power to C&I consumers as well as government. Recently, we have won a tender of 187.5 megawatt from government of Gujarat for solar projects under PM Kusum Yojana in Gujarat. So that is the project. Also, we have currently 300 plus megawatt hybrid projects under construction in the state of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. So now we are looking for some international opportunities for project development, and also we can have manufacturing shut in other countries. So that is the area of our business.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. I am D.S. Savlia, Chairman. Mute. I am D.S. Savlia, Chairman of Onis Group. Basically, Hardik give all the introduction about the Onis Group. Basically, I am the electrical engineer and founding from one member. Right now, we have a 450 employee in this company, and we are making segment by segment like a solar, wind, hybrid, storage, now converted into green hydrogen. We are doing the forward engineering as well as the reverse engineering. We are also manufacturing the solar module line, cell and HJT line. So we are planning to go forward and as well as reverse stage. We have to introduce as a developer IDP in India's Asian region. So to tie up some big brand and big investor and big funder for the establishment and for the development of the fast projects in the fastest there are 2 megawatts hybrid ports projects in Gujarat. There are fastest project in Gujarat award for that. Right now, we do 187 megawatt the government of Gujarat with 3 rupees PPA. It's a very much good PPA and 1 crore subsidy per megawatt. So it's boosts for us for right now we have 10,000 crore plus projects behind, and we have to require the funder projects within the 3 to 4 years. So it's a background of our own group, and we have very good and we want to go as fast as possible, but we have to need some big support from the big investor or big global brands. Thank you.
Now let's hear from Nines Photovoltaics, Mr. Edward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador Raj. Thank you very much for the invite today. Nines Photovoltaics is a company that are developing and have developed novel manufacturing processes for solar cells. So we heard some colleagues in India talk about module manufacturing, cell manufacturing. What we've done is we've invented a cheaper, better, faster way to make solar cells. And the really important part of it is that we don't use any water. Water is a massive resource that's consumed in the current manufacture of solar cells, and particularly at the scales that we see the manufacturing in China and also in India. India is leading the way in reshoring of solar cells outside of China. I think they have a goal to have 100 gigawatt capacity of manufacturing, so factories building modules and cells in India. I think the largest of all the countries or the regions. Let's say the US, I think, is targeting 50 gigawatts. Europe is targeting to have 30 gigawatts at the moment, and India is well ahead with a target of 100 gigawatts, and they already have quite considerable capacity with a number of tier one manufacturers. So we've engaged with a number of these manufacturers, showing them how they can make their factories smaller and use less water for the manufacturing process.
Thank you. Now let's hear from Solray Solutions, Mr. A. Subramanian.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Subramaniam. I would like to present, share the screen. I hope it is possible, right? Excuse me. We have been disabled by you for screen sharing. Can I do the screen sharing?
Yes, now you can.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Good morning once again, and I'll try my best to give a presentation within 5 minutes. We are a renewable energy company, a division of Paikane Group, and we are in the business of power solutions for last 35 years. And the chairman of the group is Atul Paikane. I head the division of renewable energy. Solray Solution LLP is a division of renowned Paikane Group in Goa, which provides turnkey power solutions. That's our strength. The Paikane Group are global market leaders engaged in the manufacturing of diverse engineering products and power generation equipment. We are a one-point contact to cater to energy requirements and specialized in designing bespoke solutions by integrating the following: renewable energy. Our specialization is specialized in microgrid systems with synchronization of various power sources and prioritizing renewable energy for consumption. We have diesel and gas generator manufacturing plant, and we have been supplying diesel and gas generators to various parts of India and also abroad for last 30 years. We are also expert in HT, switch gears and control equipment. We have manufacturing facilities in states of Goa and Maharashtra in India and Sheffield in UK. I'd like to play a quick video if possible.
Is there any audio in that or only subtitles?
Yeah, I hope that video was clear, and Was that clear, the video presentation?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Was there any audio in that or only video?
Okay, we have done a complete installation right from all the electrical solution. We supply genset, we supply electrical panel. We do complete end-to-end solution for a microgrid requirement of a industry. Currently, as a group, we have exported to 66 countries globally through our alliance partners. Our group company, Watt Power in Sheffield, UK, provides us with a presence in European and Middle East markets. We specialized in design, manufacturing, installing, and commissioning of bespoke power solutions. We are looking for what exactly we are looking for a channel partners in new regions who can bring in leads for microgrid systems and with whom that we can collaborate to execute projects any part of the world. And we also look forward for technical collaborations and in manufacturing or importing the technology for energy storage systems, specifically non-lithium based energy solutions, like any other technologies other than lithium based. Like various, I believe that in today's, there are a lot of research and development is happening in worldwide for a new technology like flow batteries and which can be a very compact and can also be substituted as a product in for lithium ion based technology. And we are definitely would like to collaborate with such knowledge and design if the same is available. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
May I request G Kinetic Group? Mr. Rice.
Question has not joined.
It's not joined. Then let's move on to Max Group. Mr. Sarang Dande from Max Group.
See his name also. Go to the next one.
Okay, it's not joined. And then DT Power, Mr. Alok Verma.
He tried to join. He said he's not able to log in.
Right. Then Atlantic Wireless. Yes.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
We're a 5G startup telecoms company, IoT, specialized in IoT, mission critical communication systems. So we look at energy, meteorological, telemedicine, anything that's mission critical. So my undergraduate background is in electronics and computer engineering, and my postgraduate background is in computer science and business development and innovation. So the last course I done was a course in Trinity in Tangent, it's in their business school, where we looked at ideas, coming up with ideas, teasing them out, trying to evaluate them and see would they work. So it uses an experiential learning method where effectively it's learning by doing. So it's a part-time course, so you come up with the idea, you go out and research it, you come back again, you evaluate it, talk to the lecturers and speakers and see can you go back and evaluate it and come up with something better. So it's kind of an iterative process. So it's well worth looking into Trinity Tangent in the Trinity Business School. So I came up with this idea for using micro modular data centers instead of large data centers. So these data centers will be smaller, less than 1 gig, decentralized, located in rural areas, smart rural regions, along the coast. So effectively, these data centers will work together so that if one data center failed because of lack of power or because of a cybersecurity attack or because of adverse weather, which is common now, data would fall back to a second data center, etc., etc. So these data centers will work in unison together to process the data. So when the data falls back to an alternative data center, the telecoms lines also fall back. So the telecoms lines, data centers, and smart grids would work together to process the data. So these data centers would be connected to a smart grid where you have renewable energy, etc. So it'd be ideal for mission critical applications, let's say telemedicine, telehealth, utilities, all that kind of area. And it would ultimately consume less power than the big centralized data centers. So we're looking for companies to come in and run a pilot project on this idea. So let's say we would take 2 data centers, work with them together, and maybe try a pilot project, let's say in telemedicine, where we would work together and see how that goes. We would have 1 pilot running in Ireland and 1 pilot running in India, and we get work together and evaluate how this would work and how would it fare out, and could we improve it, or how would we go about it. So that's my pitch now to anyone who's listening, is maybe we could work together and try this idea out and see will it work, you know. Thank you.
So now we have the Joe Bodra from Energy Elephants. Now we can give your remarks.
Yeah, thank you very much, and apologies I'm so late. I got tied into another meeting I couldn't get out of. So I suppose Energy Elephant is a energy and sustainability data platform. We're trying to basically help organizations collect, create, organize, and analyze their energy data from anywhere in the world. Be that in India, be that in Europe, be that in America. I suppose one thing we found for kind of organizations from India that kind of use the platform as well is that the idea of smart cities and things can be great in theory, but in practice on the ground, it's not always the case. So, you know, in some instances, there's no metering for water. In other instances, they just have an old electricity meter, the old analog metering side of things. So I suppose one thing we're looking at is ways to kind of help organizations and people collect that data without the heavy expense of putting in hardware everywhere. So, you know, smart meters make sense for, you know, new infrastructure that's been installed, but for older infrastructure, it can be very expensive to retrofit in these kind of projects. And they, generally speaking, go over budget as well, as with any kind of CapEx project, unfortunately, these days. So I suppose one area we're looking at is trying to help organizations utilize the assets that they already have and ways to do that, in particular in developing countries, because in countries where you have a new infrastructure, etc., it can be quite easy to put in a budget and put in this infrastructure, but for existing assets, etc., it can just be too cost prohibitive to do it in that side. So it's looking at ways for organizations to create data with the information they already have and with the assets they already have as well. So it's trying to find that balance between where you need data and where you want data. So it's something that we're looking to partner with organizations, in particular in the area of India. It's something we have an app where you can just take a photo of a meter reading, and the #1 country we get people using that is in India. And it's because a lot of the infrastructure is older, and to collect meter readings is difficult because there isn't smart metering infrastructure. So it is interesting from our side that is an area that we get a lot of traffic from. I suppose the name Energy Elephant as well seems to get a lot of people's attention as well. So it's an interesting area for us on that side. So like that's what we're looking for, is kind of organizations that are looking to kind of partner around this way of utilizing existing assets to get data out of the infrastructure, etc. And in particular around kind of things like accurate billing, accurate metering, etc.
Is there? Mr. Alok Kumar from DT Power. Mr. Alok Kumar from DT Power, you can give your remarks. All right, maybe he will join later. Then in the meantime, let's move on to the ESB. ESB Ireland.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Honourable Ambassador Michelle, I am blown away by your knowledge of the energy sector, because that's all I do, and you summarise your country, and I know you cover all of the other sectors, and also yours is the largest by population country on the planet. So I think we're all gobsmacked at your knowledge with no notes, and I was trying to take notes, so thank you for that. I did take some notes. So you said many things, but 3 things resonated: offshore wind, green hydrogen, and international collaboration, okay? So Ireland's entire decarbonisation programme will rely on cracking offshore wind, and it's now at the economic attractive point. We have the best wind resource in Europe, ourselves in Scotland, and we've been bolting wind turbines to the ground, but we're running out of scale. And a wind turbine, most people, and the engineers in the room will tell you, the best wind turbine is larger is better and windier is better, because it's the square of the swept area. So you get a squared effect and the cube of the velocity. So you get a fantastic increase in wind energy if you build really wind turbines and you put them offshore. Another important thing is the load factor. So the load factor, how much time it's actually running, will go from about 30% onshore in Ireland, which is really good, to 50% if you go offshore. So that means you need less storage because the wind turbines are running more of the time. So these are, but we only have a couple of the Arklow Bank that were put there as an experiment, 10, 20 years ago, whatever it is, and now there's a huge, big push on that. So we have never done this before. We've dipped our toe in the water, in some other projects in the UK and that, where we are a co-investor. But this is the opportunity. And so the challenge here we see is very similar. We are also an agrarian nation. We make food for 6 times our population. So we have a big problem with emissions from cattle, but maybe that's also part of the solution. But we need to decarbonize. And we're an outlier in Europe, actually, in that regard. So anything we can do on the agricultural sector, let's do it together. And that brings us to international collaboration. So 7 years ago, we realized ESB, okay, it's a big company in Ireland. Most people know it. They talk about ESB rather than electricity, synonymous, because it was the only country. For the first 80 years, we were the only electricity company. Now there's fantastic competition in retail. We're still the largest generator, largest retailer, but EU laws make we have to have competition. That's all good. But we're the only people, there's a national monopoly for the wires, i.e. transmission distribution, both in the Republic of Ireland, and we bought NIE in Northern Ireland. So we have to be the purveyors of all of this fantastic stuff that we're hearing about today. And we have to get that right. So EVs, grid demand, the balancing, et cetera, et cetera. And green hydrogen, we think, is one of the, at the moment, we are building lots of storage. Lithium ion was mentioned, but already people think we have to get past lithium ion because cost dependencies and it has limitations technically as well. So what's the long duration storage? There's a huge gap. Whoever cracks long duration storage, it'll be the next solar PV explosion. So green hydrogen has that potential. We are trying a number of different entrepreneurs to see can they crack this. One company in Ohio we're working with, there's only 10 guys in the company, a startup, they're 10 kilowatts. They have only one other customer apart from ourselves and our partners. That's NASA, believe it or not, because they need that technology to get to the moon again. So unless India can tell them how to do it. One of the things we found, we put an exercise into AI, into ChatGPT, and say, what are the top 5 things you need to do to get to net zero, right? So Ireland, the Irish government has a target, and we're a state-owned company, so the Irish government will say something, but we actually have to do it. The buck stops somewhere. So our target is to get to net zero by 2050. So ESB has put in a stretch target ahead of that of net zero by 2040. So that sounds far, far away, but it's very aggressive. And if you look at all the statistics, I think we're seeing the weather patterns were mentioned, et cetera, et cetera. So the climate change train has left the station at front of us. We have to work with these companies here faster. And ESB is not a technology developer, it's a technology taker, like all of the utilities. But all of the utilities, state-owned or not, they have to pull that technology through to decarbonize at the point of consumption. So if you electrify everything, at the moment in Ireland, there's still lots of cars. My own has a little exhaust pipe at the back, and our house has an exhaust pipe called a chimney. So, we are heating or driving every form of transport, planes, trains, automobiles, they are producing emissions. And in our grandchildren will have to explain to themselves why we had a little pie producing, greenhouse gases, but also toxic gases. And they're going like, oh no, I don't believe you. So we're in the transition. So electrify at the point of consumption, no emissions at the point of consumption, make it from clean sources and get it across the lines as cheaply as possible and reliably as we can. So we think if we're going to have all this excess wind energy, we could end up being an exporter. We are like India. We do not have any domestic. We have a small gas field off the west coast of Ireland. but we are a net importer, and every time we go to the fuel pump for our car, we're sending money out of the country, and it's very expensive. So, and we're at the whims, as we know, of international changes. So fluctuations in our energy costs. Cost of living in Ireland has, incredibly gone crazy in the last, 12 months. A large part of that is energy. So if we can generate our own from renewable sources, we get that stability and security of supply. So for once, and I think you alluded to the 3 cents for solar. I mean, in the past, we had to subsidize renewables to decarbonize. Now, actually, the alignment is there. It's actually cheaper to do the green thing. So there's no economic penalty. There's an incentive there. But we have to make it easy for the customers. I think some of the companies we saw there were like the roof covered in solar is incredible. Like there was not one piece left, and it was glued to the roof, so no leaks and all that. So fantastic. So the missing piece is the storage, and we think maybe, and we would love, Ratna Delapati is on our team. She's like the unofficial ambassador to ESB from India, by the way. So she's flying to India tomorrow. I'm going next week, and we're running a program. And the reason we're landing the free electrons program in Mumbai is we know now India is now a leader in technology development, and we want to work there to find the best technologies and exchange. So we don't want people duplicating effort. If something has been developed in a university or in Europe or the US, bring it to all the other countries, because there is multiple parts of this puzzle and we need to get it there. We're in a race against time. So that's why I'm speaking quickly, by the way. So if you think on the positive side, and really what we discovered is we set up this collaboration, the third part, the international collaboration. We cannot do it on our own. We do not have a monopoly of wisdom. And Irish people are super intelligent, as we all know, but there's not very many of us. I was just checking out my phone. I think the population of India grew in the last 6 months by the population of Ireland. So, like Ireland is like one little village in India. Seeing all the little green guys over there. So, we need to reach out to, and you spoke about the graduates coming out of the conveyor belt in India. So we need to get all the smart people aligned and working together. So 3 things we're hoping to do in the next 2 weeks is go on the ground in India, meet the people in person. We're meeting the CEO of T-Hub. So thanks for the introductions. We're meeting Invest India. Thanks for the introductions. And also we have a little bit of a relationship going back, maybe about 5 years with NTPC, the largest generator in India. So Mr. Ujjwal, he's going to meet us. He's going to speak at our event. And we're hoping to do a bilateral link there to look at how do we decarbonize and share. We have some information that they will be interested in, and they have and that we can bilaterally exchange this information. So there's the utilities. I don't think of big companies, and they generally buy from Tata Engineering, Siemens, GE, but those companies aren't moving fast enough. So we actually know it's the startups like Epicensor, the Carol men, who we know from a couple of years, and Energy Elephant, very Indian flavored. So we're reaching, we need to reach out to all these companies, and if you can get lower cost, no water, solar, we're laughing, telemetry. So all of these solutions are required. There is an absolute market for all of these, and it's the matter of getting them. So the job we see of the Irish utility is to be that channel. So we want to help your technologies to grow faster from India to come to Ireland. And also in the free electricity program, we have 7 utilities. Hydro-Quebec joined us here. So we have American Electric Power, China Light Power, we have Origin Energy in Australia, largest generator there, EDP in Portugal and South America, E.ON, the largest one probably in Europe, Germany. And we have sort of 85 million customers between us. So 1 in 100 people on the planet Earth give us money every month. But we want to give back and say, we've gone around the world to India, everywhere, and said, what's the best technology? Because we're going to bring it to make your electricity net zero, affordable and reliable. And we can't do it alone. We're only a conduit. We are a utility. The clue is in the name. We're not a technology developer like the fantastic entrepreneurs in this room. So thanks for the opportunity. We would really love to meet the guys from India as well. And we're going out to pull the technology developers into our ecosystem. And there's massive learning because, as I say, one of the problems for the start is your time is so limited and your funds, you have to use every penny well and every minute well. So if you can talk to the absolute experts in these large companies, if you find the right person, they can save you months of work. They can say, yeah, but the rules are changing. We watch out for this. We tried that before. It broke 3 ways. If you can do this, we'll help you. So on that note, thank you for the opportunity today. I'm Mr. Richard.
And Ms. Fatma, if you want to add.
Just one final comment there, John. We have Open Innovation Day on the 19th of October. So if you can register on the website Free Electrons, you can actually join virtually and tune into, you know, all the fantastic entrepreneurs that are going to be joining, including organizations like Invest India, NTPC, T-Hub, and actually some of the Indian startup companies that have worked with the free electron utility companies will be part of panel discussion. So do tune in on the 19th of October. It's free. You can join virtually from any part of the world.
You can send the link.
We can send the link actually. So yeah. And John covered everything else.
Sorry. Let's now move on to Tech Ireland. And Tech Ireland, to say something about them, right from beginning, they are in, helping us. They are very instrumental in organizing this event and then reaching out to companies from Ireland and also coordinating with them. Thank you for Tech Ireland for your support. And now you can give your remarks. So thank you, His Excellency, for this wonderful opportunity, and to Murgadat sir for organizing and leading the efforts. To provide a quick introduction to Tech Ireland, I know a few of them here have probably come across Tech Ireland and a few haven't. We are Ireland's startup ecosystem database. So we would kind of map the entire innovation ecosystem on the island of Ireland. About 5,000 product innovation companies we track on our database, of all of them IP yielding basically. I mean, we excluding the services or non-IP based companies, and most of them are technology, about 90% of them. And that enables us to identify specific startups that we can slice and dice in niche categories. So if there's an energy or renewable energy event, we knew there were 80 companies or so doing something that might be of interest, of which we narrowed down to who's raised some money, who has a commercial ready project and things like that. And we shortlisted a couple of companies, and most of them were very kind to accept an invitation to attend today. And I must also mention all the hard work and real credit goes to our CEO, John O'D, who reached out to companies. And unfortunately, John was not able to join today. He had another dentist appointment actually. So, but he sent his regards to everyone. In terms of this meeting itself, I must say that I have a personal fascination for promoting relations and B2B kind of collaboration between Ireland and India. I've been told that since India's independence in 1947, India's FDI has stood at around 950 billion. So that's the total that has come into India in the last 75 years per se. Of the 950 billion, 600 billion came in the last 19 months. So there's something serious happening in India, and which the world should not ignore. And definitely the fact that Ireland has led innovation in many domains, I think it is time to capitalize on what's happening there. I see the Danes. The Danish Prime Minister was talking in Hindi recently. She was kind of talking to a couple of energy startups there, and the Dutch Prime Minister was walking the streets of Bangalore having street food. So there's definitely a lot of activity happening there, and it is important that we identify the potential and encourage businesses from both sides to talk between India and Ireland. And I'm really grateful to hear John from ESB speak, and that they're doing a lot of this work. From Ireland's side, I mean, Ireland's population, and I'm addressing our friends based in India as well.
Ireland's population is 5 million. That's less than half the population of Bangalore city, for instance. And for that size of a country, so here there are about 9 to 10 unicorns. So more than 5,000 indigenous product innovation companies. And Tech Ireland's data shows that Irish startups raised over 1.6 billion in funding last year. And specifically in H1 2023, just 3 Irish companies raised more than 550 million. So there is serious potential here. The innovation is niche and can be scalable across the world. So I personally think this is a great opportunity that His Excellency and the First Secretary have provided us, and we hope to capitalize on this going forward, and that some of the companies who are hearing from India will get to talk to your peers here in Ireland and vice versa. Thanks a million. Thank you.
So now let's open the floor for question and answer. So it's free to everyone, both online and offline. So please go ahead.
Just want to ask Your Excellency about data centers in India. Like, are they big centralized data centers, or is there a capability for smaller data centers there?
As you know, like Ireland, India is also a mega hub for IT industry.
Yes.
And also we are also very seriously addressing various issues relating to data and privacy and security, and also localization of data generated within India. So there is a far greater thrust on having local data centers.
Wow.
Like Ireland has been pioneer. We have created data center itself as a business activity.
Yes.
An incentive for others to come in and set up data centers. We have not done this so far as a kind of strategy, but we are looking at it. And there is a greater encouragement for big companies to set up data centers.
All right.
So this is like we are behind Ireland.
Yes.
You said Ireland is super talented. So in terms of data center itself has a segment of business opportunity. Ireland is ahead of us.
Oh, that's great. Thanks a million.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
But this is one growth area, because once we are like, earlier we were deficit in energy. And we used to have like a huge shortage of energy itself, and generation capacity was way below our needs. So we could not have pushed for construction of big data centers. Now that we are becoming more or less self-sufficient, I think now we are self-sufficient in energy. And also reducing the cost of renewable energy gives us greater hope. So we see that we are at a threshold where India can become a really big player in hosting data center.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's basically driven by private companies themselves.
Yes.
Facilitated by government, conducive regulatory environment and support.
Okay, that's great.
But I would love to discuss with you.
All right, thanks a million. Thanks for that now.
I would say, we've told everybody and the folks back in India that how tiny Ireland is, so they might say, let's not bother. But importantly, it's the only native English speaking euro-denominated country in the EU. It's a really good entry point into the entire European market. And in terms of cracking something in the renewable energy sector, Ireland looks like ESB is about the size of an average utility in the US. There's so many utilities in the US. They're all like individual states or smaller. Like we have partners over there. We know how that works. We're a partner with Electric Power Research Institute of the USA. So they all watch what we do. And because we're a little bit further ahead in, like we're about 40% renewables on the grid in Ireland at the moment. That hasn't been done anywhere on an island before. So people are watching what's happening here, and they're going to lift and shift to other jurisdictions. So if some of the Indian companies looking here today work in Ireland, it's a fantastic showcase. Somebody had a link to the UK market. We have actually the latest gas-fired power plant, which we're putting hydrogen to. Manchester, it's actually owned by ESB. We have a supply company there called So Energy. So we actually have a lot of links with the UK market as well. But if you could crack in the Irish market, it's actually a really good size. And because all the players are easy to talk to in the ecosystem, it's a fantastic place to prove. So one of the reasons that hydrogen fuel cells company in the US, reversible hydrogen fuel, they're interested in working with us is they know if they crack it here, it'll work anywhere in Europe and also in the other states in the US, and it's a real showcase opportunity. So I would say, don't be. It's actually a really it's the not too big, not too small market to crack into, and I think we have a challenge. I'm going to stop talking now, but I'm conscious that there is somebody from a bank beside me. And anytime somebody from a bank is in the room, we probably ask them, please tell us what is your interest. And
Absolutely.
No, thank you. I'll speak. We've got a couple of representatives from ICICI. So Raghav, he's a deputy CEO and MD there. Keval is senior manager for global markets team, and I cover the relationship coverage team. So those who don't know about ICICI, we're one of the largest private sector bank in India. We are present in about 15 countries internationally. In terms of size, we are top 20 banks in terms of market capitalization. We are listed in New York Stock Exchange. We were the first Asian bank, excluding Japan, to be ever listed in New York Stock Exchange. We are representing ICICI Bank UK, which is a subsidiary of ICICI Bank India. We look after essentially the UK EU corridor with India. So we work with Indian diaspora people, all Indians who are in UK and Europe, to help them with their banking needs locally as well as back in India. We work with corporates across UK and Europe for their banking needs, whether it's trade, whether it's commercial, whether it's on a treasury side, help them in foreign direct investments in India. They have to bring money back from India. Anything which a bank can do, we do facilitate that from UK. In UK, we have about 7 branches and 1 in Germany. From there, we cover the continental Europe. We've been there for about 20 years. So that's broadly what ICICI does in UK. Our international presence are in US, Canada, in Hong Kong, Singapore, and a few hubs in Middle East. So we cover essentially all important trade corridors with India. And again, the idea is that we help facilitate movement of money and corporates where we can. India story is being covered. Shrikant mentioned beautifully about how foreign direct investment is being attracted into India. We see that because a lot of money moves through us, also from other players we have, of course. But we see that happening, and we talk to a lot of corporates in Ireland, which we are covering now. So that's an exciting time for India, and if we are able to help you with anything you are facing challenges with in terms of banking, more than happy, please.
The net zero, the topic today is renewable net zero. Have you got a segment of the market that you're targeting in that area?
So we banking as such is sector agnostic. But we are seeing a lot of investment happening in India on that space. We're seeing a lot of players going in that space, which is, I think you guys know that better than us. So from our perspective, as I said, we deal with money to help people. So whether it's renewable sector or any other sector, we can help you with whatever.
Well, one of the things I think the matter though is that what we're seeing anyway, and being told, like ESB is trying to sign up to science-based targets, where it's not just your own emissions, it's your employees' emissions, your customers' emissions. So it pushes out the web, and it's a harder target. But companies that don't have a vision to get to net zero maybe are not as investment friendly for banks, no matter what sector you're in.
So that is true. In fact, we were coming out of a meeting with one of a very large corporate client just before joining here, and in fact, it's both ways. It's a corporate looking at banks as a partner whether they're following ESG standards, and as a bank, we are looking at companies who are following and not following the ESG standards. A lot of banks have policies, including us, where you minimize exposure to fossil fuel companies, for example. Every bank has their own ESG policy. It's an evolving space. and they have different criteria and parameters. Some are following their guidelines from the regulatory exchange body, some from a local regulator. So every bank has a different strategy. We have our own ESG policy, which we publish as a part of our parent bank, which has a much wider policy than ICICI UK, because we are a smaller setup in UK in comparison to our parent bank. But yes, we are seeing a lot of financing deals around larger syndicated facilities, global facilities having ESG as a mandatory compliance, mandatory governance. On the reverse side, corporates are also committing to it. And what they do is they commit for certain KPIs in the loan agreements. And if they meet those KPIs, they want banks to reduce their pricing as well, just to incentivize. And I think we're seeing more and more ESG governance, ESG terms coming into these large syndicated facilities. So yes, I mean, it's happening from both sides.
It comes down to the alignment, doesn't it? So now it was interesting. Now it's compelling that all large corporations have to decarbonize. So the solutions from the here and from the people online are required right across the board for every sector. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Just out of curiosity, so because you're relying so much on renewable energy and you're planning this huge investment in it, I'm guessing you have companies that are looking at facilitating that flexibility on the grid already. And how are they finding those challenges that are coming with renewable energy?
Well, this is a very significant area of focus, like you rightly identified. It's a big area if you have to mainstream solar energy, and also the government is working very seriously on this, and also we are working on green corridors with German and European Union funding. So we are working very seriously on how do we connect energy into the mainstream
and keeping that balance.
Exactly. We have, and also at the same time, like standalone units and also the storage solutions. So again, like multiple approaches to deal with how do you integrate additional solar and wind energy, renewable energy which is being generated in the grid. So we are looking at variety of solutions. I think it would be very useful to have a separate discussion on your solution.
Definitely, I'd love to hear more about what you're doing as well. The ESB are actually doing a project with Epicentre, by the way. We're already working with them.
Just a quick question.
Excuse me, I have a small input. I'm Subramaniam. I believe in India, the huge scope and potential exists on an industrial and commercial segment rather than huge utility megawatt scale requirement. And what we require is a suitable storage technology, wherein a small within 100 kilowatt hour or less than that.
So it's interesting because on the demand response side of things, you can look at different types of technologies out there that can act as
technology. There are some technological I have not been able to grasp everybody's name and in a quick session like this, but there are some technology integrating the solar, wind, as well as the battery DG, and where we also need some communication solutions, like how do we integrate all these and prioritize renewable energy over fossil fuel energy, and in this kind of a communication of also we require a lot of support, though we are right now taking some support from Netherlands-based company. But I believe there is a huge scope in this area of communication networking on prioritizing the energy. So any support on this is also welcome.
Yes, I think something, looking at our own IoT infrastructure that we're building is definitely something that we'd be interested in discussing further with you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, we can.
Put us in contact as well.
Yeah, definitely. So after this event, we will share the contacts with everyone.
Yes.
So that you can continue your discussion. At the same time, you can use this forum as a live interaction between us, among yourself. And
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Aruna is waiting.
No, that was.
I just finished. Yeah.
Thanks. And so I just wanted to request if everyone's details were shared along with a small description about what they've spoken, because if people have not caught someone's names or company names, they'll at least figure out what is.
That'd be great.
All right. So then, if there is no more questions, then we can move to the concluding remarks from our master.
Thank you. Thank you, friends. It was very useful exchange of views. And first of all, I would recommend that details of all the participants should be circulated.
Please, yeah.
It will be very useful for people who are virtually connected also here, so that we all know details of all the participants. Also, in terms of the way forward, each one of you spoke with so much of passion, and also your niche area of work is very interesting. So I would again encourage that please each one of you send Raj a 1-page or 2-page letter giving your company profile and also your specific areas of interest, like what you can offer and what you're looking for when you think of it. So each one requires a specific follow-up, and we'll be very delighted to connect with the relevant stakeholders in it. Like your telehealth and telemedicine, tele-education. So these are also very high priority areas for India.
Yes.
Similarly, data center is a very important area of opportunity. That we can look at how do we synergize and make proper business sense of what we have.
Okay, I'll send you on some details and
Absolutely. So,
background information.
each one have, like, each of you have made very interesting observations, and I see there is a merit in following up, specific follow up. On ICCI, because in foreign service, I have had great privilege of working together with your colleagues across all continents. So, very delighted to have you here. I wish you don't go back. The Indian community in Ireland is small compared to what you have in UK, but it's growing rapidly. Now we have around 80,000-90,000 strong Indian.
80,000-90,000.
Yeah, absolutely. Grown very dramatically. 45,000 Indian passport holders in Ireland. And also compared to UK or Canada, where I was Consul General, the Indian community in Ireland is very professional. Almost everyone is a graduate. Most of them are masters and PhD holders.
Prime Minister. Doctor. Yeah. He's a doctor.
Our Prime Minister in Ireland is precedes you, the Prime Minister.
It's here first.
Let's see who lasts long.
Probably I'm like today.
So I would really urge you to look at, we can have a separate discussion, maybe how long you are staying here, we can have a meeting and brainstorm about some banking presence from India. And ICICI, I have great respect for, because your bank was the pioneer in adoption of digital solutions. In India, in digital technology, ICICI was the first.
Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, and also I see there is a merit in having someone like a dynamic, proactive bank like yours, some form of presence.
We require separate conversation. That's why we have our
Great.
Deputy MD and CEO here.
Also, John, I must thank you for your very inspiring presentation and your vision. It fits very well in what we are thinking. Our government, particularly our Prime Minister Modi, he has been telling us about a very interesting phrase, vocal for local. Like prioritize your local development with a global vision for local. So what we see, like what is happening in India is a very granular mapping of resources, talents, opportunities we have at the grassroots level in every nook and corner of India. How do you leverage your local resources and then develop them in such a manner, say, so that they become contributors to the global well-being? So, given the like inflection point at which India is currently in terms of the economic, technological, infrastructural, energy transformation, we see that there is a genuine merit and genuinely beneficial for India, but also for the rest of the world. If we work together with our friends and partners more closely. And again, because we have been lagging behind in many of those developmental indicators, so we have opportunity to leapfrog. Like you mentioned about challenges in metering. So because most of India was not electrified earlier, and we have undertaken most of it now, so we had that opportunity to leapfrog. In telecom, we have leapfrogged already. Without going through the landline, we have gone through the 5, and we are jumping into the 5G.
There is a big, I've seen that happen. Yeah, and
so India's 5G is domestically developed.
it is, yeah.
So what we see that is, and in renewable energy, we are in touch with all key players like US. We are in very close consultation and working together, both G2G and B2B. Similarly, France and Germany and Norway and Denmark, so Australia. So we are working, Japan, we are working together, consulting very closely with all of them. But somehow Ireland is missing. As you mentioned, that there is a stereotypical perception here and also in India that Ireland is a small country, 5 million population, but that is not the way to look at the opportunities. And also, as an ambassador, I don't tell lies, although I'm very proud of India, but also I'm conscious of some very unique advantages which Ireland offers. First of all, the locations. Again, it's like herd mentality in India to look at Ireland as a kind of island behind Ireland, a small part of its extremity of European Union, But this is a wrong way to look at Ireland. Ireland becomes really central if you look at Ireland's very deep connectivity with US and Canada and Europe. So anyone who has a long-term vision of broader presence, then you have to be present in Ireland. So locational advantage of Ireland is very significant for someone who has been here and visited most counties of Ireland. So this is a very significant point to be noted by our Indian friends. Second is in terms of innovation and nimbleness of your innovation. Again, there's like we our big country, we have a very robust ecosystem of innovation, startup and unicorns. But Ireland has a big edge over India because of your innovative spirit, your general level of tertiary education and science and technology research. Like your ecosystem is a bit more advanced as a whole. Also, the nimbleness that your companies enjoy, your Irish mindset is more flexible, nimble, creative. India, because of size, like I said, elephant takes longer time to turn. And also, I'm very impressed by the inherently globalized outlook of Irish people. India is behind. You look at any university in Ireland, so you have best talent from all over Europe, most of country, your linkages and part of European Union, part of OECD. So your youth, your entrepreneurs, your innovators are inherently at a crossroad of thought. And very flexible, very internationalized in outlook. Compared to anyone studying from an Indian university, Irish university students have more global outlook inherently. So there are distinct advantages in partnering with for Indians to partner. Look at Ireland as a partner. It is. And also within 2 years that I have seen here, I have discovered some very fascinating examples of how knowledge-driven partnership can play a larger than life role. I came across one niche startup IT company in Ireland. Their solution is being used by Reliance Jio and being used in about 600 million mobile phones. Similarly, other companies are working in automotive vehicles, autonomous vehicles. So their solutions were so interesting that they were approached by Tata, and they are heading, that person, a startup Irish individual, is heading the Tata Jaguar's research center here. So in domain of ideas, it's not about size. It's about the individual's knowledge and your creativity. So it is very good opportunity for us to start looking at each other's potential. And thanks to Tech Ireland and Sri and Damodaran, we had a few weeks ago a dedicated session on issues concerning Startup Connect between India and Ireland. And we discovered that Startup Connect is very nice to talk about, but it's difficult to carry it forward. Because as you rightly mentioned, for a startup, it's very challenging to maximize the money that they have. Every single dollar has to be optimized. Their time, they don't have a lot of luxury of deploying like number 2, number 3 to go and do the running. They have to do a lot of things themselves. So I totally believe that there is need, if you are looking at connecting Indian and Irish startup communities, then we need an intermediary. It could be Tech Ireland, it could be ESB, it could be IGA, it could be Science Foundation so there has to be someone else who is more resourced and supported by government or industry association which will have to facilitate. And embassy here is offering full time, like anything we can do to facilitate Connect will be happy to play the role. But we need someone from the Ireland side to be the intermediary for the Irish startup. Because they have constraints. Similarly, Indian startups also will have constraints. So we can rope in either Invest India or CII of FICCI or Partner of Science and Technology. Someone will have to come in between and facilitate. So I'll end here. This is a very, very useful discussion that we had today. And I look forward to receiving specific proposals from each one of you. Give your thoughts about what you'd like to do, and then we'll be really delighted to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your participation today and your valuable inputs. So now let's conclude the session and then move on to the networking lunch. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.